I'm Sister Olga Whittykin. I'm a sister of St. Francis from Oldenburg, Indiana. I was a formation director and now a clinical psychologist. So I am delighted to be journeying with you this Advent. We are blessed to have wonderful persons like Father James Martin to bring us into the fullness of our lives as vocation directors. It is a special calling that touches deep within each of us to open ourselves to God's desires for us. Father James Martin shares in his message on the desires of our hearts this Advent that we are to bring Christ to birth in ourselves, others, and the world. Carol Houselander challenges us to be about Christing the world. We each carry the potential to bring God's energy into our world each morning or evening as we pray a contemplative prayer resting in God. Advent is a wonderful season to join Our Lady as she lived her deepest desire to be a faithful Jewish woman. Her waiting for a Messiah was startled into a new waiting as she was to carry her infant, God's Son, into the world. When our waiting is inspired by love, it becomes desire, longing, yearning, desire to be one with Christ. As vocation directors, who are the angel messengers in your lives who ask you to be part of God's plan? We may ask ourselves, am I able to trust the faithfulness of God in my life when it comes in unexpected ways? The incarnation is God self-emptying to become human. Carl Jung loved the incarnation and said in his biography, "It is hard to see why the human heart is not shattered by the incarnation." God speaks to us through our desires. Father Martin states, our holy, most authentic desires are how we hear God's voice. If today you hear God's voice, harden not your hearts. Our deepest longings shape our lives. James Martin states, desires help us know who we are to become and what we are to do. Our deepest desires help us to know God's desires for us. God gives us our free will to choose to live our deepest desires. James Martin says, holy desires are desires for change, growth, a fuller life. Sometimes, if our desires are in the fog, we may have to pray for the desire to want to desire. Perhaps something your community is asking of you. As we pray during this Advent season, Psalm 37, we hear God's desire for us. Seek your happiness in me, and I will give you your heart's desire. This is my prayer for each of you as you embark on this beautiful Advent season.